Hello and welcome to Foals to Favourites, this time coming to you from a great Victorian stud Blue Gum Farm near Euroa. We'll show you their new stallion for 2014 War and some of the first foals of the popular McKinnon Stakes winner Glass Harmonium. And a real treat, we speak to world-renowned reproductive vet Angus McKinnon about the management of the broodmare band. All that coming up, but first, the latest breeding news. After the loss of Street Cry this breeding season, Darley has been quick to snap up his best grandson in Australia, Hallowed Crown, for future stud duties. The Golden Rose winner is from Golden Slipper runner-up Crown Glory and a close relation to champion stallion Zabil. Darley bought 50% of the son of Street Sense, who will race on in the autumn in the gory colours in the training of Bart and James Cummings. The mother of three-time Melbourne Cup winner Makybe Diva has died at the age of 19. As well as producing the Australian Horse of the Year, Tagila also left group winners Muscat and Valkyrie Diva and listed winner La Amistad. Tony Santic will retain her full sister to Makybe Diva by Desert King and her last foal by All Too Hard. The greatest race in Australia for the purists, the WS Cox Plate, was a race for the world, with globe-trotting Northern Hemisphere 3-year-old Adelaide rounding up a quality field to give Coolmore's Aidan O'Brien his first Australian Group 1.
Adelaide Faulkner, Adelaide on the outside in front, and Adelaide has won the Cox Plate. Adelaide gave Europe's best sire Galileo another Group 1 success. His dam Group 2 winner El Tel is by Danzig's July Cup winner El Nadim, who's represented at stud in Australia by Pendragon. Adelaide has amongst his Australian ownership John and Fran Ingham, and his Cox Plate success came immediately after a win in the Group 1 Secretariat Stakes at Arlington in the US. Friday night's Group 1 Manikato Stakes was thrilling even well after the race, with a dual protest against Lankan Rupee eventually dismissed. They swarmed to the line about 5 or 6 across. It was a fourth Group 1 for the son of Redute's Choice, whose third dam, My Trisha, is the mother of 2 Derby winners, Grosvenor and National Gallery, grandmother of Oaks winner Mahaya, and of Shadea, dam of Champion Sire and Horse of the Year Lonro. The Group 2 Moonee Valley Fillies Classic was won by a daughter of Fastnet Rock, with Lamosti racing in the same colours as former Oaks winner Mosheen. Nick Hall's got the key to her, and Lamosti won it by 2 lengths, Tardy Dancer. Lamosti is owned by Phil Sly and leading Japanese breeder Katsumi Yoshida, and is the first foal of a Group 3 winner in Ireland, Luminous Eyes. Her sire, Bachelor Duke, stands at the Oaks Stud in New Zealand. John Thompson's belief that Hooked has a good race in him was well founded when the son of Casino Prince won the Group 2 Crystal Mile. And Hooked will go. Hooked will score by 2 lengths. Hooked was bought at the recent Patinack dispersal by Sean Buckley with a promise to leave him in training with the former Patinack trainer. Hooked is from Absolute Lure, a half-sister to Kunji Handicap winner Fire in the Night. The half-brother to Redute's Choice, Manhattan Rain, had his first Group 2 winner when Moon Over Manhattan took out the Derby lead-up, the Moonee Valley Vase. Moon Over Manhattan is all too good, won it by 2 lengths to Atmosphere. Bought by Dermot Farrington at the Inglis Sydney Easter sales for $100,000. He's from Flying Spur mare Luna Spur, already the dam of Far Lap Stakes winner Colorado Clare, and stakes placed Moonlight Hussey. The Turfontaine Rubiton Blue Gum Farm Cross was again to the fore with 2-year-old Fontaton too strong in the Inglis banner. But Fontaton is just going to donkey lick them. Fontaton won it hard held, as impressive as she could possibly be. A real Blue Gum product with Century and Rancho Ruler also in her pedigree. She's bred on the same cross as Edward Manifold and Caulfield Classic winner Fontaine Ruby, and has in her ownership Melbourne Race Club's Matt Kane, James Price from Inglis, and the lucky winner of the Inglis winner share of a racehorse competition. And staying with the 2-year-olds at Rosehill Gardens, Godolphin trainer John O'Shea unleashed a devastating juvenile first starter in Furnaces. But Furnaces with 100 metres to go as well, clear 4 or 5 lengths in front, and this is a blazing debut for Furnaces. The colt is by champion sire Exceed and Excel from Keith Mackay, runner-up Heat of the Fire. He descends from the famous summoned Zetative family that in recent years has delivered Group 1 winners Melito and Norzita. Philip, thanks for having us here at Blue Gum Farm. Looks as if you're coming off a fantastic season. The farm looks just great.
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted with the way the farm looks, Caroline. It's in great shape to take us through the breeding season. We had a really kind late autumn and winter, and the spring started off beautiful with a great combination of rain and sunshine. So The farm looks great, the horses look great, everything's in good order.
Your old favourite turfy, Turfontaine, he was crowned the Victorian first season sire, so congratulations on that. But it's a time, I guess, of limbo for Blue Gum, isn't it? You haven't really got a standout stallion, but you know, obviously you're still doing the job with the boys you have.
Yeah, it is an interesting period for us. We've got some beautifully credentialed young horses coming through that we're obviously very excited about. Turfontaine, as you mentioned, he was Victoria's leading freshman sire last year with his first crop 2-year-olds. We were really excited about that. Turfy's a horse that we feel is going to take us back to where we've been in past years. His second crop were sensational horses and they sold accordingly at the yearling sales. His fillies made up to $110,000, his colts made up to $100,000. They've gone to great homes. And yeah, we're really excited about the future with Turfontaine.
We saw him in the paddock there next to his new buddy, his new stallion mate or barn mate in War. Now this is a gorgeous looking horse by More Than Ready from Deidre. So she's that great Joie de Nice, Denise's Joy, Tuesday Joy, More Joyous family. But he's a lovely, neat horse. He was an expensive yearling, $500,000 yearling, but he's letting down, obviously a young horse, into a beautiful, beautiful stallion.
Yeah, he is. And he's only just turned 4, so he really is a baby, but he's developing those strong stallion characteristics very, very quickly. Yeah, exciting horse to be associated with. I love More Than Ready. I love what his sire son Sebring's been able to achieve in a short period of time. We've got a cracking Sebring yearling here at the farm. We've got 2 mares foaling to him this year. We've got another mare going to him. We've got mares that went to More Than Ready last year and this year. So it's a sire line that I've been pretty darn keen on, and why wouldn't you be? To be able to access a colt by that horse from this female family, we didn't have to take a long time to think about it. Look, we know that he didn't have a lot of exposure to the racetrack, and there are people that you know, are seeing that as a negative. From my point of view, he displayed well above average ability in his short racetrack career. That combined with the fact that he's got this amazing female family, that he's by the right sire, and is such a cracking good sort, makes him a very, very appealing prospect for us. And the ticket with him, Caroline, is getting people to come here to the farm. Like you say today, you've seen him now and you see what I'm talking about. He's just such a good-looking animal. And he has the ability to pass those attributes on to his babies. I think we're going to have a hell of a lot of fun with him.
Canford Cliffs is another horse that looked fantastic here today and coming back now for his 3rd season. But he beat horses like Rip Van Winkle, Goldacova, the 5 Group 1s in a row. How's he been received now several seasons down the line? Because it's an unusual sire line, isn't it? Tagula, we know Torfin through Torfin's Melody, the Caulfield Cup winner. But it is that great Hell to Reason line, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey with Canford Cliffs. You know, I remember sitting and watching TVN's coverage of Ascot those 3 years and marvelling at this horse. I mean, his ability at 2 to win the Coventry by 6 with his head on his chest, to come back the next year and win the St James's Palace, and then to come back a 3rd year and beat Goldacova in the Queen Anne. You look at a horse like that and marvel about them, and then you get the opportunity to work with them. Why did we get the opportunity to work with him? Well, yeah, clearly the Tagula part has been an interesting sell. I mean, Tagula was a good racehorse himself, and he's only a young horse, and he's done a good job at starting Ireland. But once again, those boxes being ticked. Canford Cliffs is a cracking good style of horse. He's got wonderful movement, wonderful balance. He was as good a racehorse that's been imported to this part of the world as there has been in many, many years. You know, you mentioned the 5 Group 1s. They ran through from his 3-year-old to his 4-year-old year. He wasn't cuddled, he wasn't mollycoddled. He was exposed to the top level as a 2, 3 and 4-year-old. So he was the real deal. The fact that he's from the Hail to Reason sire line is just a huge bonus for me. That sire line in this part of the world has worked exceptionally well through More Than Ready and his sons, through Red Ransom and his sons. Look, I've said it in the past, Caroline, I firmly believe it. If Canford Cliffs had been by Fastnet Rock and had won the equivalent races here in Australia, he'd be standing for $100,000. He was that good a racehorse. So we're tickled pink to have him here at Blue Gum Farm.
And you have done it here at Blue Gum Farm before, had a lot of success with stallions from sire lines that weren't that well known. Horses such as Encosta de Largo and Umatilla spring to mind.
Absolutely. It's funny, we've had a great run with stallions like that. When Encosta came here, Fairy King wasn't the flavour of the month, and there was no excitement about him as a sire of sires, that's for sure. And Encosta was here for the first 7 years of his life and compiled a sensational record. No one in this part of the world knew who Mizwaki was when Bill DuPont purchased Umatilla as a yearling and raced him here, and he came back to Blue Gum to stand at stud. And 6 Group 1 winners later, he just was a phenomenally good horse for us. So we have had a little bit of luck with horses from obscure sire lines, and as I say, it's a matter of having as many boxes ticked as you possibly can. And with both War and Canford Cliffs, I think that we've got plenty in our favour.
We saw some of the foals in particular. We'll talk about the yearlings in a moment, but the foals, as you said, once you see these foals, they're beautiful little movers, aren't they? And very strong. Exceedingly French was the dam of one, of course, a stakes performer herself. And this is a lovely filly by Canford.
Yeah, well, that filly that we showed you was only 3 weeks old. She's out of a stakes-winning Exceed and Excel mare, and a real neat, tidy article. Nice length. She's already starting to muscle up really nicely. We took a group of foals to the Sydney weanling sale this year by the horse, Caroline, and they didn't all make huge money, but I tell you what, they all drew positive comment about the way they moved and the way they handled themselves. And they weren't his best pedigreed horses, obviously. They've been kept for yearling sales next year. But the Canford foals here in Australia still made up to $70,000, and it's because they've got that style about them.
And Glass Harmonium, okay, so we obviously he only covered a few mares last year, but we already see the resultant foals. And he's settled down a lot this year. He looks fantastic. He's getting more and more white, but the foals are looking fantastic. Flautus was the dam of one of the colts we saw, and Frolicking Miss the other. But he's left some beautiful types from only a small amount of numbers.
Well, unfortunately, as we all get older, we all get a little bit whiter.
Yeah, true.
But you're right, he has settled down. This is home for him now. He's very, very comfortable in his surrounds. Look, he bred a very, very limited number of mares last year, Caroline, because his ownership were concerned about the fact that he only had one testicle and wanted to make sure that he was going to be a commercial proposition. So a small number of their mares were bred to the horse. Look, he went terrific. He got 8 of the 10 in foal. The other 2, I honestly believe that it didn't matter who they went to, they weren't going to conceive. So Glass did his part, and as a result, we're standing him commercially this year, and there's been really good interest in the horse. I think his colour, I think the way he handled himself at the racetrack, the success he was able to achieve on the racetrack, it sparked a bit of interest in the horse as a stallion, and the selling point for him now is that we actually have got some foals to show people from those few mares bred last season, and we're tickled pink with them. The Flautus colt that I showed you, he's a strong colt with great bone. He's a correct colt. And the filly a little bit younger out of Frolicking Miss, but the same style of foal. We've got some more foals to come by him here in the very, very near future. And we've obviously got a bigger book to work with this year. So, look, he was a great racehorse. He's a terrific character. We're really enjoying working with him. And, there's no reason why he can't be another successful Blue Gum Farm stallion.
So, of course, it won't be very long before these horses by Glass Harmonium are yearlings. We have some of the Canford Cliff yearlings we had a look at. And some of the way that you actually process these horses as far as looking at what they weigh, looking at their overall development, their physical size, their height. Just tell me what you do here at Blue Gum that perhaps is a little bit different to perhaps what other people do.
Well, we take that side of things very, very seriously here, Caroline. It's important to be in a position to monitor a horse's development through from when it's next to its mum all the way through to yearling sales. So we are looking at the foals from a very, very early age as far as where their legs are heading and any that may need some sort of help. And being able to project forward to what sort of article an owner is going to have. Not just us, obviously. We are as interested in other people's horses that have been entrusted into our care as we are about our own. Once the foals are weaned, they obviously go into like groups. And we have a program going here at Blue Gum whereby each week a different group of weanlings or yearlings, as they are now, come through the barn. And we perform what we refer to as a mini prep on those horses. They come in at the start of the week. They're boxed overnight. They're out into yards during the day. They're rugged. They have access to the wash rack being hosed down. We weigh them. We measure them. We have a good look at them up and down the laneway, assessing how they're progressing with weight, condition, where their legs are before they see the farrier in that week. Obviously they're drenched, and all those sort of things are taken care of. We take still photographs or video of the horses, and then we compile all that information each week and send that out to the owners of those horses on a 6-weekly basis. So that keeps the owners informed as to how their horses are progressing and helps us raise the best possible product that we can for them.
I guess you do modify a lot of things year to year here at Blue Gum, but are you happy with where the farm is standing right now?
Absolutely, I am, and I feel we've definitely made good, strong, positive inroads into ultimately where we want to get, and that is producing more and more Group 1 winners. I think our results at Melbourne Premier this year indicate that we're definitely on the right track, Caroline. We had 18 horses in the P1 section of the sale. All 18 were sold, and they averaged a tick over $95,000. So, you know, our high price was $300,000 for a cracking new approach colt. We've worked hard on getting some outside influences into our draft, whereby they're not all just by Blue Gum Farm stallions. We've worked hard on trying to bring some variety in with some other top stallions. We send some of our mares out to stallions, which is something that probably took me a little bit longer to wake up to than I wish it had of. But you know, moving forward to this year, I think we have got another really good draft of yearlings coming up for Melbourne Premier, which is our home sale and the sale that we like to target. Why wouldn't we? We've had fantastic results there. But with the outside stallions that are going to have representation in our draft and showcasing the first crop Canford Cliffs in that draft, it's going to be a great time for us.
One of the great advantages for horses here at Blue Gum Farm is having the service of one of the world's leading reproductive vets, Angus McKinnon. Angus, I read with great interest a line that you have said in the past, that disease is a result of poor management on farms. Can you elaborate a bit on that? I guess it's so important to have attention to detail when you're breeding the new crop of foals.
Yes, Caroline. Disease is related to the level of management, so good management decreases disease, and that's simple things, just like injuries, diarrhoea, pneumonias. Number of horses is very important as well. Like if you've got a lot of mares and foals on a farm and it's a small area, then we have increased numbers of problems, and that's where management is important. You know, good management picks up disease early, picks up problems early before it spreads to other horses. You know, before a problem becomes much larger than it was initially. You know.
This is a great area here at Blue Gum around this crush. I mean, there's a lot of cement, a lot of open, air that can get through. It's important to really look at the structure of what you're doing when you are particularly vetting these mares and trying to get them in foal. Yeah,
it's a very safe area for the horses. There's good footing, plenty of room for them to move. They're easy to get in and out of the crushes and easy to be handled. This farm is a good example of how horses can be handled well without injuring staff or horses.
And looking at some of the procedures you were doing today, of course, testing for pregnancy. What are we looking for on that monitor?
Yes, well, I mean, it's important. There's a big advantage to knowing early whether the mare's in foal or not. And the horse has an advantage compared to other domestic species and humans in that we can find pregnancies as early as 12 days after ovulation. So 15 days from service, we bring them back in through the crush and examine them for pregnancy. And at that stage, we're very confident whether they've got a single pregnancy, a twin pregnancy or no pregnancy. And that's useful for the farm to know, because clearly if they're pregnant, nothing else will happen to them. They'll just be examined again. But if they're not pregnant, they'll be re-examined in 4 days and then rebred. It's
so important, isn't it? What are your checks, within a couple of days of cover? I guess you're looking to make sure that there's not, fluid retention, and you perform the CASLIC. Explain the reasons behind the CASLIC.
Okay, well, first of all, the fluid retention you mentioned is very important, because fluid is pretty much always a sign of inflammatory disease of the uterus. And inflammatory disease most commonly is infection. So the breeding act is not sterile. Even though the stallion's washed and the mare's washed, it's still not sterile. bacteria are introduced at service, and so the majority of the mares get over that absolutely fine. But there's a percent of mares, and it's hard to put an accurate figure, maybe 15, 20% of mares struggle to get over the breeding act as far as infection or inflammation is concerned. So 2 days after they're bred, we confirm that they've ovulated and released the egg. And if that's happened, if there's fluid present, we'll treat them with antibiotics. And that's a common procedure now. It wasn't years ago, and I think that's why that, you know, maybe 80% or 75 to 80% of mares deliver foals in the stud book now per year, whereas in 79, 80 it was like 41%. And I think it's all an awakening of what's happening inside the mare. How do we modify? Caslick is the thing that you asked about, is one of those procedures. We caslick the mare, which is stitching the vulval lips together, and we're doing that because some of the mares have a conformation that encourages air to be sucked forward into the vagina. And when you're sucking air into the vagina, it's opportunity to suck manure into the vagina as well.
We did see a mare today present with what looked to be twins. Unfortunately, they generally won't be carried to term. Just tell me what you were seeing when you were looking in the mare.
When you have a mare with twins, we like to diagnose them early, and we like to diagnose them at about 13 to 14 days of real age, so we can manage them. And so instead of seeing one black hole, we'll see two. They may be together, they may be separate in the uterus, but in the mare, it's not ideal. Humans carry twins well, sheep carry twins well. In fact, they aim to breed twins if they can in many of the breeds. Cattle carry twins pretty well. Lots of species carry twins well, but not the horse. The horse has a problem in that when you have twins, they're fighting for the placenta, they're fighting to get the nutrition, and commonly one will outperform the other, which means you'll either have an abortion or you'll have a mismatch in size, or both of the foals will be born very, very small. So we have management tools to reduce one so that the other one can go on and successfully develop. We just think it's inappropriate to leave twins.
And the mares themselves, just finally at the process for the mares, they seem to be quite accepting of it, and there's the sort of little restraining hold up around their shoulder that it does just sort of calm them, doesn't it? I mean, do you find they accept it pretty routinely after they've been through the crush a few times?
Well, at this time of year, we have a lot of maidens coming through, and they've never had a hand where no one wants to talk about. And so, and it's always amazing to me that you can have a horse that's almost unhandled, and yet after the second palpation they're very accepting of it, and they can stand there unrestrained. And some of the maiden mares, for their very first examination, a twitch of skin on holding the skin on the neck can be enough of a restraint that they'll stand adequately for an examination. But the first exam we commonly tranquilise.
Hope you've enjoyed Foals to Favourites. Don't go anywhere though. After the break, some of the favourite moments from here at Blue Gum Farm.